Okay, I'll read the question and then let the guys handle
I
this.
think I know what he's getting at.
Yeah.
But
The basic question is, the young man that's online with us right now, asked a few Baptists that I ran into while talking with Catholics, made a statement that Baptists were not Protestants, and that is and they were insisting that Baptists weren't Protestant.
The Baptists were.
right.
The Baptist said we are not Protestant as
Right.
Baptists.
Correct. Right. And so that's the argument and discussion that he has, and he says, can we address that? If you want to read it, go ahead also.
If you want to actually just
Yeah.
read what he
Because
wrote.
all I did was summarize it. So,
I think that where they're probably going is an idea that what we believe is the real gospel. We're going back to the apostles in the church and what they believed. We're not a branch off of Catholicism. We're back to the pure gospel. I'm guessing that's probably what they're thinking with that.
Yeah.
It's not that we protested against the Catholicism. Oh, no. We just have the pure gospel, right? So they're probably just trying to cut that whole idea out. Whereas historically, what happened was the Catholic Church formed, and it wasn't the only game in town. You ended up with, the Eastern Church, and there were some other, smaller Orthodox churches around. And then you had Martin Luther, nail his paper to the door, and then that kicked off, this something else started up over here, and something else started up over here, and you get a few branches coming off, and then one of those ends up developing off into branching into what became Baptists.
Initially, I think the early Baptists, I don't know how widespread it was, I'm not a church historian, but the early Baptists faced some persecution from the Protestants, right? So, like the high church Protestants, whichever denominations those were, I won't name them because if anyone watching belongs to it and I accidentally accuse you of persecution, I'll get in trouble. But if you're hearing at that point in history from the representatives of the Protestant Reformation, you're not one of us. You're this new thing. You're a cult. You're a sect. You're this thing that sprung up from the ground. If you were one of us, we wouldn't persecute you. I mean, you hear it from them, so it may be okay. And if that's how you read church history and you're putting yourself back in the minds of the original writers of the Baptist Confessions of Faith, I think 1649 is a really important one. Maybe, and then that goes into, you're right, we didn't break off from you who persecute us. We're going back to the old way of the faith. Prior to that.
But on the historical side, when you read all that stuff, they would have never evolved if the Protestant Reformation happened. So they were birthed out of that. They didn't just appear on sight. So I would disagree with that. They just, we found the Bible, therefore now we're into being, because they were called Anabaptists originally because they were against baptism of a child, and that was their name. So if you look historically through church, that Dr. Lefevre showed me, they were birthed because of the Protestant Reformation. And so I would still have them on the side of Protestants because that's the lineage that would go that way. And that's how I would handle it. I would say they are Protestants, but they weren't. I just can't see that we.
They're wrong.
Everything. I don't think we just birth on our own independently.
No.
We birth from the other groups.
Yeah, Baptists came out of the Protestant Reformation.
So that's the argument some Protestants would make, but I agree with you. They would be wrong when they make that argument. But that's what they're appealing to, I think.